Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I have one of probably my most favorite artists at the moment, and someone I have like a kind of extra emotional connection to because, I guess more because Tori connects to her work. So the artist's name is Gigi, and I've only been able to get a few things in print. I think this is all that exists in print. This is a book called Valley. Her work is usually very quiet, very light colors, very focused on shape, which I've talked about being something I'm thinking a lot more about. Very interior. And then there are these things that are very weighty but also light. They deal a lot with loneliness and depression. Things that to me aren't things I deal with or resonate with. But what gets me is just the absolute masterful sense of composition and use of shape in Gigi's work. And her color palettes just blow me away as well. So there's something that I think is going to influence my own work. It's definitely influenced my paintings, like made me think more compositionally. This one's just about her wandering around kind of on a hike in the mountains. They're very isolationist, and I think as an artist, as a person, I think she's kind of like that as well. The only artist I'd so far support on Patreon. That's how much I enjoy what she's doing. The thing that makes the work extra interesting for me is that when I showed her work to Tori, my partner Tori, she found so much in common with these books that she just refers to this gal as the witch now, because she felt like Gigi was just spying in on her life. And I showed it to her because the books, I think I got Constantly first. So I got this book because this was the latest one. And these two are by Koyama Press. This one, I think, is self-published. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where this was printed in Latvia. I must have ordered that from Europe. I think this is the first one I read, and I showed it to Tori because when Tori and I first started dating, I always made fun of what a mess she made of the blankets, and I called Tori a blankie witch because she seemed to be able to, like a blanket that was a sheet that was on bottom would somehow like magically morph and wind up on top of the bed by the end of the night. And so I showed her this book, just kind of jokingly, like, look, here's a blankie witch. And Tori has, black hair like that, and did a lot of yoga. She's been not feeling so well lately, so hasn't been able to work out as much. But just the dealing with depression. There's a lot of points where the character puts her hair up in a bun like Tori does. So there's just like these things where I showed her, like, hey, you got to look at this. Like, you really resonate with this. And there wound up being so much in these books that she resonated with that she felt like she was getting spied on. So she started like don't get any more books by her. Like here Tori wears her hair up in a bun like that a lot. And then it's pretty obvious in the stories and from the posts I've seen that the artist actually has family members who are dealing with Alzheimer's or some form of dementia, which Tori's mother dealt with Lewy body dementia, and then eventually died from that. So that was another thing. So we already had this, like, just based on this kind of joke that this woman was like spying on her life. And then I got this book and gave it to Tori, and it was like, oh my God, there's like how she puts her hair up. And then she turned the page, and it was like this, the Book of Disquiet by Fernando Pessoa is a book that Tori had actually recommended to me when we first got together. It was one of her top 3 favorite books. This is the one where it's more obvious that her mother is dealing with dementia. So when I gave Tori this book, and there was some, in one of these, there was a lyric from a song that Tori had just been listening to as well. Or the name of it, or something. There was something that resonated with something she'd just been listening to in the car. So, I think she took this one, I think it was this book, and she literally tossed it across the room like she was so creeped out by it. And there's a scene, I don't know if it's in here, it might be something that Gigi posted on her Patreon site, where she's vacuuming, and it's the exact vacuum that Tori had just bought for our house when we first moved to Alabama. Yeah, so it must not be in this book, because I got this before we moved here. So there's just been all of these like coincidences with her stories that every time I show them to Tori, she freaks out. But the reason I like them so much is just I love these quiet comics. I love the wordless comics. I love her sense of pace, her sense of composition. Just these really sturdy compositions are amazing. The work she's doing on her Patreon now, she's introducing more color and a sense of motion. Like a lot of this stuff is very quiet, so the new work has some really interesting ways of dealing with motion. So one of the artists I'm absolutely most excited about in comics. Now, to continue, just like this isn't a comic, but I have to keep telling the story. So all of this stuff with Tori, kind of hating this gal. Then we go on a trip to New York, and we go to the Strand bookstore in New York, and Tori grabs this book, and she shows me, oh, like, look, this book looks cool. And look at, you like clever book design. Look at how the hands wrap around the corner. And she said, I read the back, and it looks kind of cool. And just immediately, we'd been in that store. She hadn't found anything she liked. And this was the first thing that grabbed her attention, and that she was like, okay, we're gonna buy this book. And I already knew that this cover had been done by Gigi because I'd seen it on her Instagram or something, and I was like, oh man, should I tell her or not? And she's like, I don't know, I just thought it looked cool. Maybe I don't want to get it. And so she was about to put the book down, and I said, well, why did you grab that book? And she said, well, I don't know, like something just called to me about it. I really like the cover, and I said, do you know who drew that? And she paused, and she was like, oh shit, the witch. And I was like, yeah, she definitely drew that. And, I looked on the inside and found, the cover illustration by Gigi. And, let's see. This piece here is really obviously her work. And Tori's like, God damn it. It's like, now I gotta buy the book. And she read it, and she felt like the story in this book was she hated the main character in the book, mostly because it's all of the things about herself that she thinks are qualities about herself she doesn't like, amplified and made into one really kind of obnoxious, unlikable character. So it was just another instance in this ongoing relationship that my partner seems to have with anything with Gigi's artwork on it. So it cracks me up. She doesn't ever want me to get any more of her stuff, but I love it. I think it's some of the best, most sophisticated, most beautiful comic work going on at the moment. So I would highly encourage you all to support her Patreon, check out her work on Instagram, go out and get copies of anything that you can get a hold of, and hopefully the stuff that she's working on Patreon now will be out in a book format soon, and we can all buy that. I'll definitely do a review of it when it comes out. Thanks for following along. Take it away, Jack.
What's your